Well, hello and welcome. My name's Mandy. Mandy Sorts It Out. I'm back from holiday and I spent a lot of money. So I've decided this week, instead of going through a week from the 15th until the 21st, we're going to do, I think it's 9 days from the 15th until the 23rd, yesterday, the Sunday. We'll be covering everything I spent on holiday. Just a reminder, my budget for the holiday was £670, but that shortly before I travelled, the airline I was travelling with cancelled all future flights and ceased trading. They have now declared that they're in liquidation. So I had to buy another flight, and that was at an airline that was further away. And because of travel anxiety, I booked a hotel room for the night before I flew, which was £175.50. Now, I will say that I've had my initial flight costs refunded and that it was actually slightly cheaper for me to get the second flight. I knew that there would be extra costs in getting to the airport, but luckily my son drove me, so I didn't have any extra costs, but I did have the cost of the hotel room. So having set all that up and clarified all that, let's now go through the spending for the 9 days from the 15th to the 23rd of November. So, on the 15th of November, I was mainly getting ready to travel. My son picked me up in the evening and dropped me at the airport. And I went into the airport and I got my bag weighed on a scale. That cost me £1. I did that because I'd purchased a 15-kilogram suitcase in the hold for my travel, and I wasn't really sure how much my suitcase weighed because I don't have scales at home. So I thought if I weighed it, I'd know I was under at least. And when I weighed it, I was 11.5 kilos, which was way under. And that was really good because I was carrying some things in my hand luggage that were really heavy. And that meant I could put them in my suitcase. So I was carrying a big stollen loaf and I could put that in my suitcase. I was also wearing a huge fleece under my huge coat, and I was able to put that in my suitcase, which was brilliant because I was far too hot even without it. So with it, I'd have been dying. So it's just as well I was able to put that in my suitcase. Another thing I bought when I was in the airport was a sandwich. I'd been really stressed all day. I hadn't really eaten much. I couldn't eat. Because I couldn't eat, I didn't make a sandwich to take with me because I wasn't sure I'd be able to eat it. But when I got to the airport, I felt calmer and I thought, yeah, I'm going to need something. So I went into the Marks and Spencer's there and they had a yellow sticker sandwich, which was brie and cranberry, my favourite. So I spent £2.74 on that. And I'd taken a tin of sweet corn with me, so I had that as well, just to get a bit more fibre in. So I spent £3.74 on Saturday the 15th. So on Sunday the 16th, I spent £35.84. I had breakfast at the hotel. There was no cost to that because it was part of the fee that I'd already paid. I went and checked in, then I went up to the departure lounge, and even though I'd taken an empty water bottle with me and filled it up post security and was drinking that, I couldn't kind of get past the sort of dryness in my throat, so I ended up buying these honey and lemon sweets for £2.99. Quite extortionate, really, and not very many sweets, and they're very tiny, but that's airports for you. Those sweets have actually come in very handy over the time I was away, so I'm not going to complain. I landed in Jersey and my friend picked me up, and I was starving at this point, so I took her out for lunch, and that cost me £31.35. And then my friend took me to a charity shop, and we both bought books because we had a book club event coming up later in the week where these books would be useful. So I spent £33.85 on travel. Then Monday the 17th, the only social event I had booked that day was to meet my son for dinner. But I needed to get out of the house because I was parked in a visitor's parking space, and you're only allowed to park there for 12 hours out of 24. My friend was going to ask a neighbour if I could park in her space, but this neighbour had a visitor and who was parked in the space, so she couldn't ask that person for the space. So I was having to stay away from the house during the daylight. So I went to a post office because I'd taken some letters with me to post at the airport, presuming that I could. I had actually checked online and it said there was a post box before security and a post box after security and a post office at the airport. But I had too much anxiety, travel anxiety, to go and find this post office. The post box before security was sealed and I just could not locate the post box after security. So I had to go to a post office and pay £3.25 for stamps to send these letters because they were for birthdays and things. They needed to get there. I had to send them. I couldn't wait until I returned to the UK. So even though they had UK stamps on them, Jersey doesn't accept UK stamps, so I had to buy Jersey stamps to send them. I went into M&S and bought some food to eat while I was there. I thought I'd just get some basics, so I got some pesto, tins of tuna, bag of pasta. I got a tuna and sweet corn sandwich for that particular day, got some grapes and a small loaf of bread and some flavoured water. That came to £15.75 at Marks and Spencer's. I have realised that the markup at Marks and Spencer's in Jersey is about 20% because I saw some cranberry sauce there for £1.20. It's £1 in the UK. So it's about 20% markup. So I bought that. Then in the evening, I took my son out for dinner and that cost me £45. It was his birthday in the week, so I wanted to treat him. He didn't want a pudding, so I didn't have a pudding, but I really wanted a pudding. So on the way back home, I filled the car up with petrol because it was getting low and I knew I'd be doing a lot of travelling in the week. And while I was there, I bought three individual raspberry trifles and a bottle of Vimto because I knew that I hadn't been drinking enough and that I needed to get hydrated. So I bought those as well. When I went to pay, I did say, and number 5 to the lady, meaning pump number 5. But it probably wasn't very clear, was it? Anyway, either that or she didn't hear me, but she charged me £4.55 for the food I'd bought, and I didn't notice, so I just paid it and drove off. Yeah, bit of a problem there, seeing as I'd bought petrol. Now, on the Monday, I'd spent £20.30 on food and £48.25 on travel. So on the Tuesday, I woke up really early in a complete panic because I suddenly realised I hadn't paid for the petrol. Got dressed, went down to the petrol station, sorted all that out. Very embarrassing. It took a bit of a time, but got it done. And then I went to see a friend of mine for breakfast. We went to Greve de Lec. She very kindly paid for the breakfast, so that was lovely. Later on in the day, I went to Marks and Spencer's again because I hadn't taken any lunch out with me. So I brought a pack of rolls and I had a couple of those, just plain, nothing in them. That was all I needed after having a big breakfast. And I bought a pack of sweets that I intended to give to the person I was seeing the next day who has children. Forgot to give it to her, forgot to take it with me, ended up sharing it with the person I was staying with. I met a friend for a coffee. I got in before them, bought myself a coffee. He came in afterwards, bought himself a coffee, so that cost me £2.25. I'd paid £4.75 at M&S, and in the evening I met my brother for a meal with his girlfriend, and I wanted to treat them to say thank you for loaning me the car. That came to £90, and I was so glad I had treated him like that because during the day the battery light had started showing on the car and it had started making this squeaky noise, and when I told him that, he took a look at it and it turned out the fan belt or the alternator belt, I'm not really sure, had snapped, and he found it in the car. And so I couldn't use the car the rest of that night. He dropped me back home and he went and fixed the car the next morning, which was very kind of him because I know how busy he was. So yeah, that was my day. on Tuesday. I spent £4.78 on food and £133.46 on travel. So, Wednesday the 19th, I met a friend for breakfast. That cost me £24.09, and that was all I spent that day. I treated my friend to breakfast. I've forgotten the sweets, but I treated her to breakfast. She's raising kids. It's expensive. But then I saw another friend for lunch, but she kindly offered to pay. So that was very nice. And then I met some school friends in the evening at a pub, and also one of them offered to pay for my drink. So that was really kind as well. We had a actually really fun night. There was only 2 of the school friends came to see me, but we were laughing and joking and having so much fun that even though they kept asking us to leave, we kept forgetting and carrying on chatting. And I think we were actually escorted out quite jovially, but we were escorted out in the end. Then on Thursday the 20th, I went to see a friend for coffee at her house. And she lives in town, so I needed to park. So that cost me £3.21. Then I saw another friend for a coffee at a cafe, and that cost me £8 because I treated my friend. I was able to go back home for lunch because the friend that I was staying with had now asked a different friend if I could park in their space, and they'd said yes. So I was able to use a parking space and come and go as I liked. So I had spent £1.55 on coleslaw because I wanted to have a tuna sandwich, and there was no mayonnaise. My friend doesn't really eat it. I thought if I have some coleslaw, there's mayonnaise in that, and I can mix that up with the tuna, and that will make a nice sandwich. So that's what I did. So that's cost me £1.55. So I haven't added that onto my food costs at all. I've missed that. I've just taken it out of travel, the whole thing. The day cost me £12.76. On Friday the 21st, again, I haven't taken anything at my food budget. So I had an afternoon tea with the book club, and I paid for my friend who I was staying with as a thank you for her putting me up, and that cost me £42. It was really nice to see the girls again, and we'd all taken books and swapped them. I got 2 books that are on the table behind me, and I gave my 2 books to someone else, and I think everyone was quite happy with what they got. So that was really good. So Saturday the 22nd, I met 2 great nephews and one of my great nephew's girlfriends for breakfast with my son. Had a really lovely time, really enjoyed it. And then one of my great nephews went and said, I paid. So that was very nice of him as well. I didn't have to pay for it. Very nice. So on that day, what did I spend? Did I buy any more food? Yes. So I filled up the car with petrol. I'd used half the tank by this stage, so I filled it up. That cost £20.23 before I returned it to my brother. My friend that I was staying with and I were planning to have a Christmas dinner together, and we went round Marks and Spencer's and bought it together, and I gave her £20 towards the cost of it. So that was £20 of food and £20.23 towards travel. And then we come to the 23rd, Sunday, which was the day I was returning home. I packed. My friend gave me a lift up to the airport. At the airport, I bought a muffin for breakfast. I hadn't been able to eat up to this point because of travel anxiety, but once I was through security, I felt a bit better. So I paid £2.95 for a muffin. And then I bought some black butter for my son, a jar of black butter. It's like jam. It's quite a small jar, and it was £7. Again, airport prices. Had I thought about it, I could have got one a lot cheaper for my son. I didn't think about it, but while I was waiting at the airport, I noticed them, and I remembered that on the way to the airport, before I flew off to Jersey, my son had been talking about how he felt a little bit distant from his roots in Jersey. My son did a degree in the UK and then his master's and then his PhD, which he's recently finished. He's not going to find work in Jersey. He can't return. So when I saw the black butter, which is a Jersey thing, I mean, it's a Norman French thing as well, but it is a Jersey thing. So I texted my son and said, did he like black butter? And he said, I've never tried it. So I took him a jar and I said, why don't you try this with your girlfriend and her kids and have a bit of an event around your culture? And he was quite pleased to do that. I was quite pleased I spent that money, even though £7 on a jar of black butter is extortionate. I think it was actually worthwhile doing in that instance. So my totals, I spent £53.73 on food while I was away, £321.64 on my travel. I found 20p when I was away and put it in a hospice fundraising bucket. So there was a 20p donation and 20p income. It's not really income, is it? But I'm going to count it as anyway. I had my council tax go out my accounts while I was away, so that's £97 on housing. And I spent £200 out of my gift budget. And that was because I give my kids £100 around Christmas time to help them budget for Christmas, because I know what a hard time it is when you're young and there's so much to spend on. I remember that vividly from when I was in my 20s myself. And I also gave my son £100 for his birthday. And I spent £34.40 on incidentals. And I'm a little bit unsure if I did the right thing on this one, but on the whole, I think I probably did. I wanted to buy the wool to knit my son's sweater, and they had it on Amazon. And come the Black Friday deals, I thought that's quite a good price for the wool. And I didn't want to pay for postage. I don't like paying for postage. It seems like dead money, paying for nothing really. I know you're paying for a service, but if you can avoid it, why pay for postage? So I thought if I can order enough from Amazon, I won't have to pay for postage. And they had a couple more things on Black Friday deal. And I've been thinking about buying some freezer pots to freeze soups in, or mashed potato or rice. I've been thinking about getting some of these for a while, but the prices looked exorbitant. So I thought I'm going to get one on the Black Friday deal. So I ordered that. And I also thought that my budget book, I'm going through it quite quickly. By the end of this year, I think I'll have finished with this budget book, but I want to continue using the same sort of thing as a budget book. I found it very useful, and that meant finding a book that was spiral bound and had dots in it. And I've been looking every time I go to a supermarket or anywhere there's stationery, I've been looking for one and I haven't found one. So I thought I'll buy a pack, and it was a pack of 6 of these dotted notebooks, and they were on special offer as well. I think they were £9 something for the 6. I thought that was a good deal, and it was another £9 something for these, and £9 for each of the balls of yarn. So I went for that, and that cost £34.40. Probably not the best time to get it, but I got it. So let's have a look at how this affected my monthly budget. So, November, I had income of £1,733.26. And as you can see, I completely overspent. Now, last time I looked at these figures, I had put the £175.50 for my hotel room in my incidentals. I decided not to do that. I've decided to put it in my travel budget. So I've taken it out of my incidentals. However, I did that spend on Amazon, so I'm still very much overspent, and I've taken that food that I spent overseas out of this budget. I wanted to take about £50 out of my budget to go against my travel spending. As you can see, I had £221 for my monthlies in November, and I've spent £229.89, which is an overspend of £8.89 in total. I'm not anticipating spending much else in November. I think I've got about half a tank of petrol. I'm going to have a £5 spend on my phone, but I don't think I'm going to spend much more on food. I think I've got enough food to last me for the month. I've got 3 frozen soups, one of which is defrosting in the fridge. I've got 4 portions of salmon. I've got half a box of eggs. I've got 2 tins of beans, 2 packets of rice, tins of sweet corn. I've got some frozen veg. I've got a packet of apples. I've got some sweet potatoes still in the fridge that still look okay. I've got a loaf of bread. So I think I'm going to be okay for food until the 1st of December. We'll see. I might go and buy some fruit or vegetables, maybe fresh fruit and veg. But we'll see. We'll see how I can do. But the fact that that is over isn't a huge issue to me because for the previous 6 months I've been under. So I think it should be fine. We will see. So let's look at how this is affecting my annual budget. So for my annual budget from the 1st of May 2025 to 30th of April 2026, I have income of £10,657.50. Now you'll see a slight difference in my budget in that instead of £670 against my travel to see my son, I've got £750. And that was because I had overspent. But given that I'd spent £175.50 out of that budget on a hotel, it's not surprising I'd overspent. And I'd only overspent by about £80, which I thought was pretty good. I would have underspent if I hadn't needed to buy the hotel room, even considering that I used some of my monthly budget up against the food. So I have increased the travel to see my son budget to £750, which increases my total budget to £17,890. It's still under the 18,000, which is how much I think I'm getting in. And I left a bit of a buffer in that budget. I left some space in case some of these budgets went over. So I'm fine with that. As you can see, my spend up to now is £10,124.90. And if I take that away from my income, I've got £532.60 in my sinking fund and £7,765.10 of expenditure still to spend. So I think I'm doing okay, even with the little blip regarding the hotel expenditure. I did get the money back for my Blue Islands flight. I got that on Wednesday while I was away. That just got refunded into my credit card account. So that's really good. It's like an early payment off of my credit card. So let's just talk about the holiday. Is there anything I regret spending money on? Not really. I'm glad I took the gifts for my friend for putting me up and also for picking me up from the airport and dropping me back to the airport. I've got one gift left to spend, so I still have £7.69 in hand for the travel to see my son budget. And that should cover the postage to get that last gift to her. So I just need to find a sturdy box to send that off to her. And then that budget's finished with. I'm glad I sent the quilts over because there was a cold snap when I was there and it would have been freezing without that quilt. So yeah, I think I'm really pleased with everything I spent. Obviously I spent some things on food that I was going to take away with me and didn't end up taking it away with me. It's in the cupboards and I'll be eating that this week. But I'm not going to try and get the budgets to be exact because it's all spending out the same pot. It doesn't really make a difference if I get it exactly right as to what food I took and what food I left behind. It's my total spending that matters, not those little bits. I think it went really well. I certainly didn't deprive myself of anything when I was away. People were very kind to me, but I treated people as well. I really enjoyed seeing the island again, but I was very pleased to come home as well. I don't think I could live over there now. I'm just going to add some more photos now and video now, so to show you the island. So, someone who lived for 58 years of their life
There's a windsurfer over there. Or a, I don't know what they're called, a kite surfer? Anyway, for someone who lived for 58 years of their life on an island, hardly ever away from the sea, seeing it daily, I've moved somewhere in the centre of England, about as far from the sea as you can get. And the thing I really miss is that sound. I don't know if you can hear it. It's so soothing. Beautiful day today. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. I can hardly see it so that kite surfer. I don't know if you can see him. Can you see France over there? Just dimly. And here we have Gorey Castle. I'm not going to pay to go in. And Gruville Bay. I can't see the picture at all, so I don't know what you're seeing and if it's terrible with that sun. But no, it's blowing a hoolie. Freezing cold wind as well. But can you see France? Very clear today. I can even see some windmills. Oh, I'm losing my balance, it's so windy. So, Gorey Castle. It was built deliberately in sight of the French because it was to protect the islands from the French. And originally it was painted white. You can kind of see that. There's still some white paint left there, isn't there? And this is I was told, the story I was told was that the rising sun would rise and shine on this white castle and it would glow because it was painted white and it was easily visible from France. And a big warning to them, don't come over, we are protected, we have force here. I was told that by a blue badge guide. That's one of the other islands. And there's some more there. I love that sound. Open Bay, other side. That's our lighthouse. And I'm actually standing on the remnants of an old German bunker. For those of you unaware, the Channel Islands were the only part of the British Islands that were occupied by the German army in World War II. The Germans fortified the island, created an awful lot of these bunkers that are now, some of them are used for museums, some of them are used for storage, some of them are not really used at all.
Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I hope you've enjoyed the video and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.